Good evening, everyone. How you doing? So tonight I wanted to provide a bit of a public service announcement, especially for anyone considering transitioning from console to PC. I have noticed that the narrative in the community lately has highlighted that the gameplay on PC does definitely seem to be smoother than on console. But I took some extra stats in my most recent weekend league this past weekend, and I thought it would be interesting to share those stats and provide a bit of insight for you if you are considering that sort of transition. There are other things to keep in mind. Okay, it's not only about the gameplay, I promise. And by the way, all the sluggish animations and the some of the other fundamental issues, those are all still present on PC. It's just generally the gameplay does feel smoother. Trust me, you still cannot left stick dribble like you used to a year or two ago. That's not a thing on any console or PC version. It's not a thing on new gen at all. Okay. Now, I kind of thought this was funny. So I was keeping track of how many times when trying to find a match on PC in weekend league, how many times my opponent, I couldn't find any opponent. Now, if you're on console, this is probably a very rare experience for you. I live in a pretty populated area, okay? I'm not living in the middle of nowhere. So this kind of thing shouldn't happen. But, you know, I played 15 games ultimately, right? That's how it works. And on top of that, 8 times I couldn't find an opponent. Now that could happen on occasion if you're in the finals of a draft, right? I know that the percentage chance of that happening in a draft final is relatively high compared to other game modes. But for all the other game modes, that shouldn't be a thing. And the analogy I like to use here is actually think of it like this. Imagine you play like the most popular first-person shooter, whatever game that is currently. I haven't played a first-person shooter since well, for the most part, since high school or anything mega popular anyways. So it's been a while, but imagine you're playing Call of Duty and like you can't find enough people to fill the lobby to play the game. To me, that seems insane. Also imagine, now I've never played Fortnite, but something like Fortnite, I guess, is the most popular battle royale, I assume, or maybe it's not anymore. I don't know. But imagine in a game like Fortnite, like the most popular game of its type, you can't find enough players to run a game. I would imagine that that's extraordinarily unlikely or doesn't happen basically in a game like that. But somehow on console, or on, I should say on PC, excuse me, this happens quite frequently. Now, I think the reason for this is pretty obvious. A lot of people on console turn off crossplay. I think over time it's become more and more of a thing. So that's basically why. On top of that, when I was actually in a matchmaking lobby with the countdown timer, right, starting from whatever, like 30 to 40 seconds, 18 times I was in that lobby, 18 different times, waiting for my opponent to confirm because we can both see the ping, right? The opponent left. And I don't even blame the opponent for this because I get it, because I've been there. Obviously, the ping that they were seeing was not suitable. They did not want to get into a match against me with that ping, and I wouldn't want to get into a match with them with absurdly high ping either. I also made a note that during my wins, my ping was roughly between 35 to 45, and the ping during my losses were 55 plus, was 55 plus. Now, you know, maybe I should have tried to be even more patient when matchmaking and try to make sure my ping is always like below 45 or preferably in the 30s. But when you see the previous stats, you might understand why eventually you just feel like you should just get into a match and just play the match and see what happens, because you're only going to wait so many times. So yes, does it seem to be a smoother experience in some way on PC? I suppose so. Honestly, I don't think it's that big of a difference. But that's a little bit subjective. You're still going to deal with all the fundamental issues in this game. I promise you, they're all still present. There is no such thing as left stick dribbling around center backs. even on PC, it's not a thing. 99% of the time, that's not how you're going to beat a center back. And the other sort of issues like defensive versus offensive AI and all that sort of stuff. But okay, maybe it's a bit smoother. I don't know if that's a compelling enough reason. I'm just sort of letting you know from a PC player what the experience is kind of like. Just be aware. I would not define it as an ideal experience is basically what I'm getting at. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just a PSA this evening. Hope you're all doing really well. If you have any comments or questions, feel free. We can communicate in the comments section. Be happy to. Hope you're all doing well. Have a great night. Peace.